Hello guys, welcome to my channel Tech Bulletin Prime. I am Rajnikant. In today's video we're going to discuss the Java 8 features. Okay, so if you have not subscribed my channel yet, please do subscribe it and hit the bell icon to get all the notifications. Right. So from last 3 to 4 years, people are migrating and adapting Java 8. Right, they are upgrading their system to Java 8. So it's better to enhance our technical skills and enhance our knowledge regarding this Java 8 or whatever the new features is got introduced in Java 8, right? So to compete the latest modern languages, Java 8 also introduced some language level features and language level enhancements also are there, right? So today we'll discuss some important features that are those are very helpful, right? So let's begin. So let's start with Nasan engine, right? So in Java 8 something is called Nasan engine newly introduced, right? So what exactly this Nasan engine, right? So it's a JavaScript engine, right? And in Java 8 this new JavaScript engine got introduced, right? So I know most of the people are unaware of this concept. So let me explain you a bit, familiarize with what is JavaScript engine, then we'll come to this one. So every JavaScript is there, right? Every JavaScript file or any JavaScript where it will run, right? So generally JavaScript will run in any browser, right? So the browser will parse and execute the JavaScript and it will run, right? But though from outside will say it will run in browser, but internally browser, right? Every browser have its JavaScript engine, right? Every browser is coming with their own JavaScript engine, right? So at the back end, JavaScript is run by the JavaScript engine, right? The JavaScript engine from that browser, right? Suppose if you take an example, say Google Chrome, right? Suppose if you take this example, a Google Chrome, you are hitting some URL or any website, so it's getting some, you are getting some JavaScript, and that JavaScript will be run by this browser, and internally this browser have some JavaScript engine which will take that JavaScript and execute that one, and it will return that end result, right? So internally every browser have some JavaScript engine. So if you consider Google Chrome, so if you consider Google Chrome, it has V8 JavaScript engine, right? So every browser have JavaScript engine which will help to execute the JavaScript, right? So question arises here: can we run the JavaScript outside of the browser? Yes, definitely. How we can run? If we extract that V8 Java, sorry, if we extract that JavaScript engine to outside of that browser, right? Suppose you took that JavaScript engine outside of the browser, right? Then we are able to run our JavaScripts, right? For example, if you see current modern things, Node.js, right? So Node.js provide a runtime which will execute that JavaScript in that, I mean outside of the browser, right? So Node.js has that capability. I mean Node.js have that Google's V8 JavaScript engine, right? So exactly like this, to run a JavaScript we need a JavaScript engine, right? So this is the part of what is JavaScript engine and how this is working, right? So let's move back to our Java, right? So Java also provide a JavaScript engine, right? So Nasan is that JavaScript engine which introduced on Java 8, right? This is a JavaScript engine coming with JDK. So if you have installed that JDK means it's already installed that JavaScript engine in your machine, right? So with the installation of JDK also you can run JavaScript files, right? This is the capability is there with Java, right? So in Java 8, the new JavaScript engine got introduced, which is known as Nassan engine. So earlier Java 8 version, from earlier to Java 8 version, some different JavaScript engine was there, which is known as Rhino, right? But in Java 8, a new JavaScript engine is there, which is known as Nassan engine, right? So I will show you an example from with the installation of Java, how you can run a JavaScript file, right? So you can see here JJS command, right? By this command from our console we can run the JavaScript files also, right? So this is a good feature, I mean, which is most of the people unaware that yes, JavaScript also you can run with the help of Java, right? If you have installed that Java, some JavaScript engine is installed, and by the help of that JavaScript engine you can run JavaScript files also, right? So let's see some example how we can run the JavaScript files. So this is Java 8 folder. Yes, so already I have written a JavaScript file. If you see this code, a simple code where a equal to 10, where b equal to 20. I'm here I'm doing some summation. It's a dummy code, right? So here I'm explaining the concept. So here I have some dummy code, and again here I am printing that summation, right? So let's run this command. Let's run this file. So here I'm opening cmd, right? So what is the command? If you see here, sorry, jjs command. So jjs demo dot js, sorry, not java, .js. So this file name is demo, you can see here. Sorry, where is that folder? So if you see here, the file name is demo, right? And here I am executing that one, right? So here you can see with this command I'm getting the sum 30, right? So if you see here, it's printing sum 30, right? So you can see here we are able to run the JavaScript file, right? And moreover, one more feature is that due to this JavaScript engine is present in Java, you can call JavaScript methods from Java, right? So suppose you have a Java program, you want to call a JavaScript function, right? One JavaScript file is there, and there some JavaScript function is there, and you want to call that JavaScript function from Java. That is also possible, right? But due to time constraint I cannot go to that much depth level. But yes, I am sure I will prepare some additional videos to explain this concept in depth level, right? This is a Java 8 feature, so only the conceptual things will cover, right? So hope Nassan engine got clear. So Java 8 provides a JavaScript engine which is known as Nassan engine, right? So let's move to next feature. You can see base64 API, right? From Java 8 earlier versions, there were no libraries for base64 API included in Java, right? So in JDK it was not coming that base64 API things, right? So if you want to use base64 things, then you need to go for Apache commands or Guava libraries, third-party libraries you need to use in your system, right? So what exactly base64? Uh, base64 is the encoding thing that generally whenever you want to encode a binary data, right? You want to encode a binary data into string format. So that time base64 encoding is required, right? But thanks to Java 8, in JDK now that base64 API included, so directly we can use that base64 API instead of going to Apache Commons or Guava library, right? So let's see an example. here is my IntelliJ. So this is simple program already I have written. So here some string is there. I am converting into bytes, and to this bytes I am converting into encoded string, right? So this base64 is that class. You can see java.util. If I'll go here, you can see java.util package that base64 is there, right? And some get encoder, it will return an encoder, and it will encode our message, right? So here I am printing that encoded message, and here I am doing the decode. I'm decoding, it will get bytes, and I'm converting that bytes into string, right? So let me run this example. Right, after base64 encoding, you can see this is that encoded format, and after decoding you can see the same string we are getting, right? So hope this got clear. So why it's called base64 encoding means, I mean, it will encode the entire thing into with the 64 characters, right? So what are the 64 characters? Here it's there, you can see, right? So here up to 64 characters is there, 0 to 63, right? So within these 64 characters it will encode the entire thing, right? So that's why it's called base64. Yeah, so base64 API we have covered. Now it's coming to JDiffs, right? So it's a tool level changes or tool level enhancements. So Java 8 provides a tool which will give you the dependencies of a class or dependencies of a what we can say jar file, right? So if you want to see what are the dependencies in a, suppose you have a class, what are the dependencies in that class, or if you have a jar, what are the dependency packages are there, right? So you can hit the jdiffs command and you can see, let me give you an example. Here we have a jar, right? Spring web jar is there. So let me take that name, right? So here it will show the dependencies, right? So in jar means what are the dependencies packages, it will show here. So jds dot jar. So here you can see this jar or these classes are depends upon these packages: java io, java lang, java invoke, right? This on these packages, these are dependencies are there, but this jar is dependent upon these packages, right? So class level also information also you will get what are the dependencies for that classes, and I will in that video description link I will give all these references, so you can refer these things and you can explore by your own, right? So let's move to the next feature. So JDiffs we have covered, JJS command also we have covered, right? So now let's coming into the language level features, which is known as lambda, right? So to give a tough competition to the modern level languages, right? So Java introduced a feature called lambda, right? So which is known as passing a method as an argument. So wherever a functional interface is there, or interface having only one method, right? So there we can implement lambda. So let me show you here. What is that lambda example here, right? So instead of anonymous inner classes, we can pass lambda there, right? So definitely I will cover a separate video for this lambda expression. So let's have some basic example here. This is a sample example. This is the main method. I'm here creating a thread, right? So thread t equal to new thread. I'm passing here a runnable object, right? So here that runnable object here, this is a anonymous inner class format, right? So here I'm passing an anonymous inner class object, right? So new runnable, this one, and here I am starting that thread, right? So this new runnable, this one, how you can extract this one, I mean how you can write this code runnable r equal to new runnable. I mean, I'm removing this one to, I'm storing this one to some variable, right? So runnable r1 equal to new runnable, and here I am overriding that run method, right? So now we can see how we can convert this thing into this anonymous inner classes into lambda, right? How we can convert into this lambda, right? So here you can see here the method name not required at all, right? Method name not required, only this parenthesis is there. Then here this arrow symbol is there, right? Arrow symbol is there, and here this is that body, right? So this is that body you can see, and inside that body whatever the logic I need to write, I have placed it here. Okay, so this is a sample lambda expression, and I am storing that lambda expression to this variable r2, right? But instead of storing into some variable and then passing to that thread, we can directly also pass that lambda to here thread, and this is the lambda expression. Yes, so this is the basic lambda thing. I know it's we have time constraint, so I will create a separate video for this lambda expression and we will explore at depth level, right? So this is that simple lambda one, right? Now let's coming into streams, right? So streams are provided at Java 8 to perform some bulk operation, right? To perform some bulk operation on collection levels, right? So suppose you have list and you want to perform some operation, filter operation and those stuffs, then you can go for streams. So here if you see, we have a streams example. So here is that sample program. You can see here I'm creating an array list and I'm storing integers from 0 to 100, 0 to 99, right? So this list contains 0 to 99, and here I am getting that stream, my list dot stream, right? So stream means by default it will provide a sequential stream, right? So sequential stream it will provide, so it will do the process at sequence level. And here I am taking one parallel stream, right? So it will work with as a parallel. So sequential stream is there, and parallel stream is there, right? So if you want to do perform some operation like filter operations, right? So suppose numbers are there, whatever that numbers greater than 90, just take those numbers, right? Or print those numbers. So how we can do here? So here I am putting some filter. So if you see here, this streams, lot of methods are there: parallel, distant, filter map, limit, map, pick, skip, sorted, unclose, sequencer, unsorted, collect. Lot of methods are there. I mean, I will create a separate video for stream and we can explore all these methods one by one, right? So here I have applying some filter and here I am passing some lambda, right? So here it indicates that collect those numbers which are greater than 90, right? So in the stream we'll get, and from the stream I am doing some for each. So this is also a new enhancement or new feature, this for each. And this for each we are passing some lambda where we'll print those numbers, right? This is the thing. So here this is the parallel stream and here this is the sequential stream. So let's run this example and we'll see. Yeah, so here you can see, so parallel stream you can see it's printing parallel, so we are not guaranteed that it will print those numbers sequential, right? So 96, 97, 91, 93 like this, and if you see sequential 91 to 99 serial is there, right? So this is the basic streams, and I will prepare a separate video for streams and we can explore that one. So let's discuss the next one, default and static method in interface. So in Java 8 onwards, now we can have default and static methods in interface. So default method means implementations will be there, right? In that method, that method body will be there and some logics will be there, right? So earlier versions of Java in interface, we don't have any concrete method, only abstract methods will be there, right? But going forward in Java 8 onwards, we have default and static methods, right? So in default method, we have body and implementation will be there, and static method also it's a static method, and we have body and implementations will be there. So let's explore that one. So here you can see health insurance policy one interface is there. So here you can see void calculate health health premium, void calculate health premium. So it's a, here no implementation is there, so it's a abstract method, right? But now going forward, we have default method. You can see default void get basic premium. So here you can see that body is there, right? Whatever the logics you can place it here, and static methods also now it's possible, right? So default methods, if you want to override in that subclasses or implementation classes, we can override this method. But static method we cannot override, right? So this is a common thing. Wherever required, that common logic you can call from here, right? So in Java 8 onwards, default and static methods also introduced, right? So repeating annotations, right? So earlier versions of Java, so if you see here, class customer @card annotation is there, right? So earlier versions of Java, we are not able to place multiple annotations of same annotation. Same annotation we are not able to place multiple times, right? So here you can see @card, right? Before Java 8, we are not able to place @card multiple times. So this is a custom annotation. So earlier versions of Java, we are not able to place multiple times, right? But in Java 8, some features is there which is known as @repeatable annotations. So by the help of that one, you can place custom annotations multiple times, right? So here you can see this @card is there, and that annotations we have defined here, right? So @interface card, right? Here string name and string type is there. Here you can see @repeatable, right? Card dot class. So this @repeatable is annotation newly introduced, so that you can repeat your annotations multiple times, right? This is a declaration thing you can see here, right? So this is the entire thing, and some new Java time API have introduced. So some later point of time we will explore that API and more. So now let's discuss that method reference. We will do like this. In that lambda, in place of lambda, we can pass a method reference. Definitely that will explore more. But here some sample snippet I will show you here. So just see here. So if you see here, we are passing some lambda, right? New thread of passing some lambda, right? So instead of lambda, what is this one? Anyhow, this is a method implementation, right? Some method logic is there. You are, you need to run. So instead of passing this lambda here, we can pass some implementation, method implementation, right? How we'll do that one? Sorry. Instead of this one, we can pass some method reference. No. So here you can see, here I have one method is there, do run by thread, and this is the class. This is a static method, right? So how will pass here the method reference? So here, sorry, here already I have passed this one lambda example. So this is that class, and here I'm calling this method, right? So this is known as this symbol, right? Double column, right? This is called method reference, right? If you want, I can run this one, right? So let me run. thread running with method reference. You can see here. So this method is calling, right? This is the entire thing. I mean, method references. So definitely we'll cover some other video for this concepts at depth level. So this is the basic concepts, right? So hope the entire thing we have covered. So so what are that again? Let's revise one more time. So Java 8 has these features. So Nasran JavaScript engine, a new JavaScript engine introduced. Then base64 API got introduced because from earlier Java 8 version there is no direct support for base64 API. So if you want to use base64 API, means you need to go for third-party libraries like Apache Commons and Guava libraries, right? So JDiffs, a tool level changes is there or enhancement is there. With this tool you can see what are that dependencies are there in class and jar levels. Then JJS command, this will help you to run the JavaScript files, and streams to perform bulk operation on different collection objects. You can go for streams with the help of Lambda. And Lambda is the core language level changes which will make the Java 8 into functional language paradigm, right? So it will make that Java 8 as a functional level programming, right? Method references are very cool. Wherever we are passing lambdas, we can go for method references. And default and static method in interfaces. So in Java 8 onwards, now we can have default and static method in interfaces, right? So in default and static method we have implementation, right? In those methods, those are not abstract methods. I mean, those have bodies will be there, right? So coming into repeatable annotation, with the help of repeatable annotation, we can put multiple, same annotation multiple times in any class or method, whatever, wherever, right? So this is that repeatable annotation. Now last but not the least, Java new time API, right? So Java 8 introduced a new date and time API, which is super cool, right? This is the entire thing. Yes, we have covered. So hope this video will be helpful to people. So please do like this video, save this video, and don't forget to subscribe my channel yet. Right? So one thing I will expect from you people, please do comment in the comment section if anything is lagging from my side. Thank you.